Hi everybody, welcome to Lauren's Scrap Lot. My name is Lauren Urbonis and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Now for the next 8 weeks, I'm going to be taking part in the Great North American Stamping Show alongside 3 of my friends, Jody Reinhardt, Julie Salva, and Lisa Bowden. I am very, very excited to see what these ladies have in store, and we are excited to show you a ton of new projects, which hopefully will give you inspiration for your own crafting ventures. Your job with this competition is to watch all 4 of the videos. I have put the links for the other 3 ladies' videos in the description, and to comment or to press the like button on the card or project you think should win. Now we're all going to be posting Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. However, these of course are available anytime you can watch them. If you're able to join us before Sunday and get your votes in, we'll be able to crown a winner each week to see who takes the crown for the best project. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're one of my regular subscribers, hopefully you have those notifications on. I will still do some Show Me How It's Done episodes during this period of time, but it might not be every week because I'm going to focus on this competition. And if you're new, welcome. Thank you for joining me, and I do hope you consider subscribing to my channel as well. Let me show you the layout that we picked to compete with this week. So in our annual catalog, this is our 2025 to 2026 annual catalog, we decided to focus on suite collections. This is perfect timing because starting on June 3rd, 2025, Stampin' Up announced a buy one, get one 50% off on all suite collection projects. So I do encourage you, because I'm not going to go into it a ton in this video, to check out that sale. It's available from June 3rd to 30th, and anything that's in a suite, so this says suite collection, anything in a suite can be purchased, buy one, get one 50% off. So that means you can purchase the entire suite and get another suite 50% off, or you can buy bits and pieces. Maybe there's bundles that you want, maybe there's designer series paper, maybe there's embellishments. So I do encourage you to check out that sale. If you need to chat with any of the 3 of us, you are more than welcome to message us, and we are more than happy to be your demonstrators and to get you all set up. Or you can chat with your own demonstrator and get the best out of this sale. So from this page on the Florals and Blooms Suite Collection, we were allowed to pick any card to recreate and to use a different product to showcase it. So I decided to pick this Have a Lovely Day card. I thought it was absolutely stunning with the amount of flowers and detail, and I decided to recreate it with another bundle that's in this catalog on page 84 called the Extraordinary Flora Bundle. Sadly, this isn't included in a suite, so it's not included in the sale, but you can purchase the stamp and dies together for a 10% off discount, and you're going to fall in love with this Extraordinary Flora washi tape very quickly, so make sure to watch to the end to see how you can order that. So we're going to get going, and I'm going to show you my project. Here is my card. So in the catalog with the beautiful project that we saw, I loved the features of a background cardstock or designer series paper, and then flowers on top of it. So what you're going to need to do if you would like to recreate this with me is to cut out a few pieces of paper. We're doing some embossing, and we're also adding detail with those washi flowers. Now, if you don't have this bundle, no problem. You can recreate this yourself using something else that you have, or perhaps this means it's going on your wish list and you're going to be recreating this at a later time. Our card base, I chose Strawberry Slush, and we've cut this piece at 8.5 by 5.5. Let me see if I can focus you a little nicer. Ooh, that's much better. And I put a score mark down the middle of my page at 4 1/4. This is going to be a standard folded card, so we're just folding that in half, and you can just burnish it with a nail or your bone folder, whatever works for you. Now personally, I like to always have something on the inside of my cards to write on, and I decided to cut my white piece just a little smaller than usual. So I'm grabbing a piece of white that is 3 3/4 by 5 to add to the inside of my card. Now, of course, I am more than welcome to come back later and add some details to the inside of this card, but for the time being, I'm going to leave it blank, and that's because I like to know who I'm giving the cards to before I fill up space on the inside, because there are some people that I need every square inch of that space to be able to write a note on, and others that I can be a little bit generous in my spacing. So on the front of our card, we're going to close this up and add a little bit of detail in the background of our card base before we even do any sort of build up to the project. So the Flora stamp set, the Extraordinary Flora stamp set, comes all in one piece. It's this giant flower set, and I'm going to ink this up with Versamark. You might wonder why I'm doing that as opposed to a regular ink. And that's because Versamark is your little cheat ink. It basically can substitute in for any sort of colored ink that you have. So instead of using Strawberry Slush, I can use a Versamark ink and stamp a background just slightly darker than the cardstock underneath. The reason I'm doing this is because when I use my washi tape, you'll notice there's 2 different color schemes. One gives you a set of pinkish flowers, and the other gives you kind of purplish flowers. So if I want to redo this card and use Petunia Pop, which would be the other alternative, I don't have to switch and wash my inks in between. I'm going to put this aside now and just let it dry. All I wanted was a little banner of color in the background, and I'm going to focus now on the layer. So in the catalog, Stampin' Up! Decided to use a piece of designer series paper with a small pattern for this piece in the back. It measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. I could have done that, but I figured we might as well use this stamp to its full potential. So you can actually use the full-size stamp to make your own background with a little bit of embossing powder. Now, when we're embossing, it's always nice to grab this little powder bag. It's called your embossing buddy, and don't throw out the bag. You're going to brush it over top of whatever you're using. Cardstock, vellum, window sheet. This will take off any oils that might be sticking to the paper and help only the embossing image stick to the paper itself. So once again, we're going to ink that up in Versamark. I'm moving that over so it's not going to get inked. And I decided, because it's slightly skinny if I go this way, decided to do 2 passes with this paper, one across the top and one across the bottom. Doesn't really matter if it's perfect, because we are covering up that line where these patterns kind of cross over one another. Now that our Versamark is in place, we can get that out of the way, and we need to bring in our fancy embossing tray, white embossing powder, and tweezers. Because we have stamped on every square inch of this paper, you're going to have to find one spot that doesn't have an image to hold the tweezers on, and then sprinkle your embossing powder all over. Now, if you've never embossed before, turn this over and give a light little tap, tap, tap. That will help loosen anything that's not attached to embossing. Now, you won't be able to hear me when I'm doing the embossing itself, but I will stop halfway through, because you're going to see this white embossing powder change from a dull powdery look to something that is very bright and shiny, just like this flower underneath here. White is probably the trickiest to watch change, but do you see how this left side is very bright, looks melted and it's white, and then this side over here still looks very dull and boring? It's because I haven't heated this side yet. That's no problem. I will go back to my heat tool. I just don't want to touch this because it'll move the powder off of my workspace. All right, I'm happy with this. I don't see any dull spots. So I'm going to turn this piece over and add dimensionals to the back, which will give it a nice little lift because we've chosen the same color cardstock for the card base and this feature here. I'm so happy Strawberry Slush came back. It's one of those colors that just goes with so many of our existing colors, as well as the new in colors. Okay, this guy's going right in the middle of my card. It really doesn't matter which way is up unless you have a preference, or you're just going to want to make sure to have a little border all the way around those four sides. Now we need to do a little washi tape work. So when you order the Extraordinary Floral washi tape, it comes in this giant roll. I have used more than half of mine already, but it's washi tape, and so it's sticky on one side. If I was automatically to cut this out using the die that comes in the Extraordinary Flora set, I would end up with stickers, which is okay, but I would have a hard time prying them off of my cutting plates. So what we're going to do is you have a choice of either grabbing a white piece of cardstock or a window sheet, whether you want to see these be a little bit more opaque or transparent. It's up to you, but it should be about 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then you're going to pull this off, and you can see a whole strip of pink section, leaves, flowers, and we're going to put that onto this white. Okay, now if I was to continue rolling, you can see that petunia pop set that I was talking about earlier. I'll pull it out for you in a minute. But you're just going to take your scissors and cut this part off, because that will be one set of projects that fits perfectly with your die. If I was to pull this out, my next set would be petunia pop, and it goes back and forth between the two sets. So you could recreate this card using a purple and blue hue instead of the yellow and strawberry slush if you want. Now we're going to grab our cut and emboss machine. So mine's on the floor because it's hard to bring it up on the table, but I've got my base plate, number 1. We've got number 2, which is that die cutting little thin edge. I've got a very well loved and well used bottom plate that used to be clear. Now I'm going to put my flowers sheet and my die right over top of that. Make sure it's all nicely lined up. Last but not least, we'll close up our sandwich with one more piece. I'm going to roll this through on the ground. Give me just 1 second. Sorry, I'm not fancy enough to edit at this point yet, but when you pull this up, what you are left with is a whole pile of beautiful flowers and leaves. They're not sticky on the back because they've been mounted to white, and we are going to use them to decorate our card. Okay, so I'm going to use pretty much all of them because the flower sample that we're using from the catalog had quite a few flowers, and I'd like to replicate that. All right, bringing back our card base. Before I get busy mounting the flowers, I'm going to add a sentiment. So on our project in the catalog, they had a little strip of cardstock. I figured it measured about 3/8 of an inch by 3 7/8. I'm using Darling Duckling for mine, but of course you can bring in anything else you'd like. And I'm going to put this flat onto about the middle of my card. I'm a double-sided tape person, so everyone else may show you different things with glue and seal and all of that, but I like the double-sided tape. It's just the way I roll. For sentiments, this stamp set does have a couple. It has the with love and congratulations, but I wanted to add a little bit of detail. Sorry, I need a drink. For a wedding card. So I'm going to combine the with love and for the extraordinary couple to make a wedding card. To make those little pieces, because it can be very challenging to tell you how to cut white strips if you're using a different sentiment than I am, what I would suggest is you grab a strip of white that's about 3/8 of an inch thick, and it's just a cutoff from one of your scraps. So this happens to be 11 inches because I cut it when I was cutting the inside piece of the card. And then when you've added your sentiment, you can trim them down, okay? So I'm using Granny Apple Green ink. I thought that looked rather sharp. I'm gonna start with my largest sentiment first for the extraordinary couple, and I'm going as close to the left-hand side as I can. And then with my scissors, because I feel confident today, I'm just going to cut a straight line to make that rectangle. It's now perfectly sized for whichever sentiment I've chosen, and it can be perfectly sized if you choose a different sentiment than what I have. Then I'll bring in the with love. Same idea, it's lined up towards the left-hand side, and then I can cut off the excess. Don't lose these strips because you can now use this for another card. These two are going to get popped up on dimensionals because we want them to have a little bit of life and start making our card come alive. I have a lovely cough that doesn't want to go away after I had a cold weeks ago, and I do think we have a lot of smoke from forest fires up north, so I don't think that's helping me much. So I am sorry if you're hearing some coughing here or there. Here's my sentiment. I'm going to put this towards the right-hand side because I want a little bit of room for a flower decal there. And it's just kind of hanging off the edge of the project. Then with love, floating up in space. And now you can start decorating. So it's completely up to you where you want to put a lot of these images, but I'm just going to kind of copy the card that I had laid out in the first place. I liked these little daffodils. And these are fun because you can just basically sit here and layer them all. So some flowers you'll want to pop up on dimensionals. One's down in the corner. And then other ones you're going to basically just add a little bit of glue or a glue dot to the back and tuck them underneath. That'll give you a little bit of dimension in your projects. And it doesn't have to look exactly the same as mine. I think what I did is I took all the big flowers and I put dimensionals under those. And then all the little leaves, I put glue on the back of them. I really appreciated that I did not have to sit here and stamp in different colors or color any of these images. I basically just took the one strip of washi tape and I have all of these beautifully shaded pieces. So that is something to consider if you have the cut and emboss machine and you're looking for an easy way to mass produce some flowers. This might be a great set for you to invest in. I would say you certainly can use the washi tape without the dies, but the dye and the washi tape combination truly make the project come together. So don't forget to check out the videos for all the other ladies. I have not seen them yet because we're all filming and then we share our videos. But I have no doubt that they will be wonderful. So even if you are voting for somebody else's project, don't forget that you can still comment on everyone's video. You could say something that you like. You could comment if you own the product or if you've tried the technique, if we're showing you new things. The more people comment, the easier it is for others to find the videos and hopefully get inspiration as well. So I have a few flowers left over. I could easily add those to the inside of my card if I wanted to. But last but not least, I'm going to grab these pressed flower motifs. I don't have many left, but I thought they look gorgeous, kind of smattered around the whole project. They're very heavy. They're like a brass finish. I don't know. They're just awesome. And I'm trying to go with the rule of threes, but I needed more than 3 to make my project. So I think I did 6. There you go. Don't forget to vote by Sunday and to tune in every week because we are going to have a great video for you every week until the end of July. I hope that you do enjoy this project and that you got some inspiration either from the Extraordinary Flora bundle or from the original Floral Blooms suite in the catalog. Don't forget to tune in again, and I will see you guys later. Bye.